Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Emily Hiles, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Private Ashley Shivers. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of St Mary's College visiting from Hobart, Tasmania. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Please be seated if able. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament. Flowers of the forest, wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Second Lieutenant William Colvin. William Colvin was born in 1893 in Rutherglen, Victoria. Known as Bill, he was one of 9 children born to James Colvin, a farmer, and his wife Elizabeth. Bill attended Narong Central School and Melbourne High School, and later taught at Warrigal Agricultural High School, where he was working at the outbreak of war in 1914. Bill Colvin joined the Australian Imperial Force at once on the 18th of August 1914. He was assigned to H Company of the 8th Infantry Battalion as a corporal. After a short period of training, he embarked on the troopship Benalla in October 1914. The battalion arrived in Egypt on the 2nd of December. Allied forces were preparing for an attack on Turkish positions in the Dardanelles. On the 25th of April 1915, the 8th Battalion formed part of the second wave of the attack, coming under fire from the enemy, who were well entrenched on the high ground above the beach. Allied forces managed to hold their position on the peninsula, but could not advance. Forced to dig in, Colvin and his comrades took on a defensive position before being moved to Cape Helles in early May for an attack on the village of Krithia. This attack cost the 8th Battalion almost a third of its fighting strength, and they returned to Anzac Cove, where a stalemate had set in. In August 1915, Allied forces began attempts to break this stalemate. On the 6th of August, Colvin was once again in the thick of the fighting when his unit began their diversionary attack on Lone Pine. They found the enemy trenches covered by pine logs. Some men tried to fight through the roof, while others continued towards the rear communication trenches. The main trench was taken in about 20 minutes, but the struggle at Lone Pine went on for a further 4 days, during which the Australians sustained 2,000 casualties. By the end of the month, the Allied offensive had failed to gain any real ground, and troops were again forced to dig in and maintain defensive positions. The situation on Gallipoli began to deteriorate, with troops exposed to extremes of temperature, unhygienic living conditions, boredom, and disease. By December, Colvin had influenza, and he was evacuated to Lemnos for treatment. Meanwhile, Allied forces abandoned the Gallipoli campaign and returned to Egypt. Colvin was made second lieutenant in February 1916. In March, his unit sailed to Marseille and were immediately sent north to the border of France and Belgium. There, they undertook routine duties in the trenches around Messines in Belgium. In mid-July, the 8th Battalion was sent south to the Somme in France for a major offensive around Pozières. Their main attack went ahead at 3:30 in the morning on the 25th of July under cover of artillery fire. They met with strong opposition from the Germans, who were well entrenched and harassed the advancing troops with machine gun fire and heavy shelling. Though their first attack had been largely successful, the battalion suffered more than 350 casualties in less than a week of fighting. Among the dead was Second Lieutenant William Colvin. His comrades buried him in northeast of the village, but the site was lost during the fighting. Today, he is commemorated on the Australian Memorial at Villers-Bretonneux, among thousands of others with no known grave. Second Lieutenant William Colvin was 23 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Second Lieutenant William Colvin, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them. Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.